One of the first things that stood out to me about this update was the Double Gems weekend that was happening. Although quite helpful, as Double Gems gives the opportunity for grinders to amass large amounts of gems, since this was the third update in a row with the weekend event, I see it as a little bit of a problem. When events start becoming the norm in a game, they can really start to detract from the original feel of the game, and being a really big fan of Ghost Simulator, I would prefer it to not become dependent on events for play rates. A way to get the same effect of events, but without the negative fluctuations of having events stop, or the negative feel of not having events, could be to just do small buffs to make up for the events that you're not having. For instance, for Double Gems events, instead of having Double Gems events, just doing a small buff like doubling the gem drops of Ghosts, which are already very insignificant for most players, and then also buffing the non-grinder usability boss drops like boss chests and also Grim loot bags could really help newer players have the same effect of as having a double gem event while still reserving that event type. Anyways, enough with that rant. Time to move on to the actual content of the update, starting on the bug fixes, or rather, fix, since there's one main big change, allowing the GOM hotkey to work after switching servers. This resolves the one issue I had with this heavily requested feature, will make switching servers or logging onto Grind so much easier. The biggest addition in this update is the addition of a new item in the store, the new gums, which are purchasable for Robux and give different cool buffs for an hour each. These items seem to be a decent addition to the game and will hopefully provide some value for those buying them and give some additional Robux income to the developers. Currently, I do not know if these gums are going to be worth it, but I will be analyzing them in their own video later on, and so you guys can stay tuned to see how good or bad they may be. Next change in this update was to some of the older limiteds and mythical items in the game, apparently to make them usable. I don't really know why, but some of these items, like the Mini Guardian change, actually makes quite a bit of sense since it's been needing a buff, and it probably still does, but it's making its way to becoming usable once again. Other changes like the ones to Alpha or the Fire Pegasus, although those are technically limited and have been heavily traded, they were originally designed to be just given to specific people for helping out in the game in some matter, whether it be from testing or doing YouTube stuff on it. But so I don't really see a problem in buffing them to make that usable. The main issue I have is how the changes done to the event items such as the Scrooge or Hollow, etc. Since those items are limited, and during those events people grinded for them, and they really aren't meant to be used as stats anymore, so making them buff doesn't really make too much sense, especially when I think about how many trades would have been changed if people had known about this stat change later on. I just don't, honestly, I really don't know how to explain it, but I really do not like this change at all, especially to something limited, especially those event stuff, since you could start making the argument that other event items like godlies or commons even should get changed too. The last two changes made in this update affect inventories and are going to be quite nice for endgame players, starting with the ability for players to lock their inventory from others, so it'll allow some players to not get begged as much from newer players, and may also help steer away unwanted attention to your inventory. Other than that, though, it won't have a very significant impact on gameplay. It may end up making trading a little bit harder to do, and may hurt the economy, but probably won't. But the second change, the addition of an auto-delete mechanic for unboxed commons, is going to change the game quite a bit. Now, although this may have been a heavily requested feature and will definitely be quite nice for people grinding, I feel like it may be starting the game down a kind of a treacherous slope of being just an auto grind fest, which I don't really like the idea of just auto grinding boxes as a very fun gameplay mechanic. So although it is very nice to see, and after unboxing for a little bit, it really helps you go through those boxes faster. I don't really see or like the addition of it. Anyways, with all these changes in mind, it is now time to rate this update. Like the previous videos, I'm going to do this rating on the scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the best update imaginable, and 1 being the horrible update, and 5 being an average update. With that in mind, I rate this update as a 4 out of 10, being a little worse than average. As I said before, I'm not really considering the gums yet. I'm going to hold my decision on those until I have time to analyze them further for a separate video. But I felt like a lot of the changes in this update, most notably auto-deleting of commons, Double Gems Weekend, and the stat changes, felt unnecessary, and to me at least, and felt like stuff put in the game to please the player base. As a whole, these update changes may grow on me, and I may actually enjoy them more than I think later on. And since there is actually a Halloween update planned for the next update, which is in only 2 weeks, this really wasn't planning on being a very good update, or mostly going to be a small update to satisfy people over. So in that regards, it was actually quite a bit better than really what would be expected from that sort of update. But anyways, let me know what your guys' thoughts on this update were in the comments, and hopefully you guys are enjoying this kind of content. And for now, goodbye, and see you guys in my next video.